All right, all right, all right. Let me make sure I get everything set up correctly. I'm just getting everything set up here. Okay, that's good. Let me see if I can get the chat brought up so I don't miss anything here. Chat. There we go. Awesome. Oops, it's going to ask for my credentials. And my password. Oh no. How did I know I was going to do that? Sorry, I need to go grab my phone from the living room. YouTube just sent me a message saying that I need to confirm that it's me logging in. So I'm not sure why they do that. I'll be back in 2 seconds. Sorry about that. I had to go grab my phone. YouTube was sending me a message saying that I had needed to confirm that it was actually me trying to log in. I'm not sure why I did that. It's never done that before. I guess it's good in a way. Okay. Let me make sure I got everything set up in OBS here before I get rolling. Let's get that over there. Okay. I'm trying to get chat pulled up so I don't miss any comments. I think I messed it up. Let me just bring up another browser window, maybe. That will help. Because right now I can't read chat if somebody makes a comment. Let me pull up YouTube on here. I'm going to have to actually watch my own channel in a browser window so I can read chat because OBS isn't cooperating. I just need to make sure that I have it muted. Comment. Let me pull up. Okay, here. There we go. Now it's muted. Braven, what's going on, buddy? How are you doing? Let me get this all set up. What's going on, Braven? We did a little learning thing last night on live stream, since there isn't a whole lot going on in the weather. All we got is looks like we got some snow up there in South Dakota and moving into North Iowa. And then there's a couple freeze warnings down in the south and precipitation in Central California and Northern California. So we're doing some computer stuff tonight. I'm still learning the old Linux operating system here. So what I'm going to do is I just found a random video on YouTube titled Beginner's Guide to the Linux Terminal. And that's what I'm kind of been trying to learn over the last few days, is how to actually use the terminal. So I'm going to kind of follow this guy on YouTube and try to emulate what he does during the video and see if I can actually do it correctly. So what I'll be doing is playing the video, and then I may have to pause it, or I will be pausing it to take notes and actually try what he's saying to do. And if I have a problem or don't understand something, I'll pull up a web browser and Google it to see exactly what it means, or if I, have a question about it. And if anybody else has any questions or suggestions for me, feel free to put it in chat, because that's the best way to learn, is for folks who have done this kind of stuff before. And hopefully maybe we'll all learn something today. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead. I got my I got my terminal up here ready to go. Let me just see. Okay, I'm in my folder. I'm just going to clear this really quick. And then I'm going to go ahead and start this video. The YouTube channel, if you want to follow along on your computer, obviously you'll be able to see it and hear it here. But this gentleman's name is DistroTube, DistroTube. The title of the video is Beginner's Guide to the Linux Terminal. So if you guys don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and start the video. And again, I'm going to be pausing it and doing exactly what he says to try to learn my way around. I kind of like this guy. He's got his thing set up sort of like me. He's got his potato chips just to his left. Looks like he's using Lay's chips. I've got some jalapeno chips over here. So I like this guy already. So let's go ahead and get it started. If you can't hear the volume, just let me know in chat. Let's see. Hey Siri, or I hope I pronounced that right, 2615. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and just watch this video and follow it step by step. Me being a new, Linux user, I'm trying to learn the terminal. I want to get a really good grasp of that because it seems like it's really important. And when I said your name just now, my phone went off.
You need to unlock your iPhone first.
Hold on. My phone thought I was talking to him. That's hilarious. Okay, let's go ahead and start this video. And if you need me to stop it for any reason, or have any questions, or want to make a comment, again, please put it in chat and I'll stop the video. Okay, so let's get started.
The terminal in the command line. So today I wanted to make a comprehensive video for the absolute beginner on how to use the command line in Linux. So let me switch over to my desktop here, and this is Linux Mint 20.1.
Actually, one thing just occurred to me. I have my microphone set up right here in front of the speakers. So the sound from the video will be coming through my mic. So I better go get my headset really quick just so we don't get feedback. Give me 2 seconds. All right. Apologies there. I didn't foresee that. So let's see if I can get the audio to come through my headphones, and that way we don't get the feedback. Okay, we're gonna restart here.
I'm running Linux Mint inside a virtual machine here today, and the first thing we need to do is open a terminal. Now, you can open your terminal in several different ways. In your desktop environment, if it has a traditional kind of menu system, you can navigate through the menu system to locate the terminal application. If the terminal has a quick launcher on the panel, you could click that. And on a lot of Debian and Ubuntu-based systems, such as Linux Mint, Control-Alt-T is a hotkey that should bring up the terminal. So let me hit Control-Alt-T, and the terminal pops up. Now I'm going to make the terminal full screen here, and I want to zoom in. A lot of times to zoom in and out on most terminals, it's Control plus sign or Control minus. So if I do Control plus, I should zoom in. If I did Control minus, I'd zoom back out, but I want to zoom way in so you guys can see the commands I run today. Now, because we have a lot of information to cover, I'm not going to spend much time on each of these commands. We're going to rush through this, but you can always go back and rewatch the video if you have problems understanding some of what is discussed today. So the very first terminal command I want you guys to run is just open up your terminal and type pwd. That stands for print working directory. This tells us what directory we are in. Okay. And right now I'm in my home directory. Your home directory is typically /home/ your username. And even without doing the pwd command, I actually knew I was in the home directory because this little squiggly sign here, this little tilde symbol, that is an alias for your home directory. That simply means that's just another way of writing /home/dt in my case. So anytime I see the tilde sign, that's actually /home/dt. The next command I want to run is cd. Now cd means change directory, meaning go to another directory somewhere on my system. So maybe if we're already in my home directory, maybe I want to go to the downloads directory. So I start typing downloads, and then I'm just going to hit tab. And tab is a way to auto-complete the path that you're typing. So cd, and then start typing downloads, and then just hit tab if you don't want to type the whole thing, and it'll just auto-complete it for you. Then hit enter. And now you can see.
See, I didn't know that. That's very cool. That's a time. That's the kind of stuff that I'm looking for too. Is time saver. So I'm gonna try that again. Let's just put in the first 3 letters for downloads. Just put in DOW and see if it works. Sure enough, it worked. Wow, that's really cool. Let me try that again. Let me clear. Whoops. Let's clear that out. And let's just get another thing up. CD downloads. We'll just put in down tab. Wow, that's really cool. Okay, let's continue.
We are actually in the tilde/downloads directory, so that is actually my home directory /downloads. If I did pwd, it would print the full path. It would expand the tilde character out to /home/dt/downloads. Now that we're in the downloads directory, maybe I want to go back to the home directory. Well, how do I get back to the home directory? Well, you can do that 3 different ways with cd. You can do cd and then space /home/dt, in my case, would take me back to my home directory. But let me get back into the downloads directory, so I'll cd back in there. I could also do this, cd space and then the tilde symbol here, because remember, tilde is just an alias for /home/dt. And that would also take me back home. And if I hit the up arrow a couple of times here, it remembers the history. I'm going to run the cd downloads command again to go back into the downloads directory. Also, I could simply run cd without any other argument. Cd without any argument always cds back into the home directory. Now,
well, that seems like the easiest way to do it is just put in cd. It's less typing. cd /home/ your name is super long. Then the tilde, you got to hit shift, then tilde. But cd seems to be the fastest. That's probably what I'm going to use. Let's see.
Let me clear the screen. So I'm going to type the word clear and hit enter, just so all the information that was already on the screen goes away and we get a clean terminal. You could also do Control L on the keyboard to clear. For example, let me do pwd, so it prints out my home directory, and then let me do Control L, and that also works for clear. So
hold on one second.
Clear this.
I'm going to pause that because I did not know that one. I always use clear. So let me write that down to clear screen. It's equals Control L. Okay. That's a big shortcut because I find myself a lot of times, like when I was exploring with the files last night, I would always have to go in and type clear. But Control L, let's try it. I want to see something really quick. Let's let's just type in some commands. Okay, PWD, date maybe, something like that. And then Control L. Wow, okay, that's a lot faster. That's good. Okay, let me go ahead and restart it.
Screen two different ways. You can just type the word clear, or you can do Control L. The next command you really need to know is the ls command. It's probably one of the most common, if not the most common command people run in the terminal. This is the list command. What does it list? It lists the contents of the directory you're currently in. If you don't give it any other arguments, it simply lists everything in the directory we're in, which is, in this case, my home directory. But that's not really what it does. It doesn't list everything in this directory. It only lists the files and the directories that are not hidden files and directories, because in Linux there are certain files and directories that have a period at the beginning of their names. We call them dot files. And these dot files are really hidden files. They're files that are not normally displayed when you run a ls command or when you open a file manager and you're viewing a directory. To actually show all the files, including the hidden files, what you need to do is run ls space and then give it -a for all files, including the hidden files. And now you see I get all of the files and directories in this system, including the...
All right, I'm going to pause it there for a second again. So that was, he put ls -a, and that equals all files, even hidden ones, I guess. All right, let's continue.
Ones that begin with the period, the dot files and the dot directories. Another interesting flag for the ls command that most people use is the L flag, and let me show you that. So I'm going to do ls space -a because I want to be shown all the files in this directory, including the hidden files, and then I'm going to give it the L flag for long listed format. And what this does is instead of just giving me a horizontal kind of list, it actually gives me a vertical listing of all the files and directories in this directory, including the file permissions, who owns the file, the size of the file, the date of that the file was created. So it gives us a lot more information, and that is typically my ls command.
Hey, I'm going to pause for a second. I got a quick question. If anybody knows, I noticed like when I ran the ls command, and it shows the names over here. I think somebody said last night when we were streaming that the ones in blue are directories and the ones in white are just files. If anybody can confirm that, let me know, because that's my understanding of it, but maybe I heard it wrong. I don't know.
I also give it one more flag. I give it an H flag. So my ls command is typically ls-l for long format, A for all files, including the hidden files, and then I usually give it a H flag for human readable numbers, because by default it lists the file size in bytes, and some of these file sizes get into kilobytes, megabytes, even gigabytes, and these numbers get huge and they're not comma separated. So if you give it the H flag, if a 1 gigabyte file will actually read as 1 gigabyte instead of, a bajillion bytes or whatever it is. Now let me clear the screen, so Control L to clear the screen. Now what if you didn't know all the flags that were available for the ls command? Because there's a lot, many more than what I just showed you, and maybe you want to go and read about some of the flags that are available
told me that
for a
last night,
particular command, such as ls. Well, what you need to do is read the man page. So if you type in the terminal man and then space and then the name of the program you want the man page for, the man page is the manual page. It's the instruction manual for that command. So do man space ls, and you get the man page for the ls command, and you can see all of the flags. The A flag we discussed, there's a B flag.
I'm going to pause them really quick. I want to read this. So there's the -a, which is all, but then there's a capital A, almost all, do not list implied dot. So that must mean all the files that had the dots in front of it, maybe it doesn't list those. Let me, I thought it was Control Shift negative. Hold on. I know Control Shift plus makes the text larger, but I don't like it that large. Give me 1 second. Preferences, I think. How do I make the text just a little bit smaller? Okay, I'm gonna have to Google it really quick. How to make text smaller in terminal. Oh, it's just Control minus. I thought you had to go Control Shift for some reason. Control minus. There we go. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, there we go. So my computer, it might not be the same on y'all's, but for me to make it bigger, I have to hit Control Shift plus, but to make it smaller, it's just Control minus. All right. Sorry about that. Let me get back to it here. Hey, Sudo, how you doing, buddy? All right, let me get the video rolling again. We're just doing a little tutorial video we're watching on YouTube and just following it step by step, learning some terminal stuff.
Like a C flag, a D flag, so you can, an F flag, so you can list out just the directories or just the files. There's a G flag, which is group directories first. You can do a lot of really cool stuff with the ls command. So any command I discussed today that you want to learn more in depth about a particular command, just view the man page. Now let's talk about creating a file. There are a couple of different ways to create a file. If you want to create an empty file, and maybe you don't want to actually do anything with this file just yet. You want to create an empty file, but you don't want to actually open it with a text editor and put anything in it. You can just do this command here, touch, and then we'll call this particular file file1.txt. It'll be a text file. And if I did an ls, you see in my home directory, we now have an empty file.
Okay, I gotta try that. Hold on 1 second. Touch file1 .txt. Okay, then run the ls command. And there it is. Okay, very cool. Let me write that one down. I know I'm going to be using that one. Touch equals create file. That will definitely come in handy for me. Okay, let's get back to it here.
Called file1.txt. Now, many times when you create a file, you actually do want to open it in a text editor and start, adding stuff to it right away. So typically when you create a file, you actually don't usually use touch. Typically, you use your favorite editor. Let's use Nano for this example. You do Nano and then name a file. So maybe I want to create a file called file2.txt. And I want to edit it right away. Then I'm going to do nano space file2.txt. And this opens this new file that was just created. It's still an empty file, but now we can actually type something. This is a line of text. Well, if I can type. And then what I could do is Control X to exit out of Nano, Y to save, hit enter, and there you go. And if I did it, ls file2.txt is there. And if I actually wanted to check and make sure that the contents I wrote to that file are there, we could use the cat command. We can run cat file2 and just tab complete and then hit enter. And it cats out that file, every line of that file, which there's only one line, and that line is, this is a line of text.
Oh, wow.
Now that we've shown you how to create a file, how do you...
Okay, that was super simple. All right, that's going to come in handy too. So cat and then file name equals edit in nano, I guess. Okay, let me test that again really quick. So cat, and then my file names, we'll just use file1 tab to complete it, enter. Oh no, that didn't do it. Wait a minute, where did I mess up? Oh, it was nano, I'm sorry, it was nano. So what did the cat command do again? I messed up. Linux. Oh, okay. So that's just to display what's in the file. So let's change that because there's nothing in that file. Let me do the text too. Okay, I messed up. So the cat file name is to view file or file contents. And then the cat, or I'm sorry, then the nano. So it's nano file name actually lets you edit file. Okay, so let's try that again. Let's bring up, I know the file one doesn't have anything in it, so let's go nano file one tab, whoops, file one tab. Okay, then this is just a test period, exit, yes, save, and then the cat command file one .txt, enter. Okay, shows you what's in the file. Okay, I had it reversed. Okay, good deal.
There's only one line, and that line is, this is a line of text. Now that we've shown you how to create a file, how do you create a directory? Well, you use this command here, mkdir, for make directory. So mkdir space, and then let's create a new directory. I'm going to call it test. So we're going to make a new directory and name it test. And now that we've done that, let's run the ls command and see if we have the test directory, and we do. Now we could cd into the test directory if we wanted to go there. cd into the test directory. Let's run a ls. Ls doesn't return anything because this is an empty directory. Well, let's move something into this directory so it's no longer empty. So let me cd back into the home directory. Now I could just type cd and hit enter and go back to the home directory. But another interesting thing you can do with cd is cd space and then the dash character. And this cd's into the last directory that you were in. So maybe I wasn't in the home directory, maybe I was in my
Cool.
videos directory or something. cd space dash always goes to the last directory you were in before you went to this directory. I hope that makes sense. So that cd's back into my home directory. Let me clear the screen. Let me run an ls. And what I want to do is I want to move. So let's do mv for move. And let's move file1.txt. Where do we want to move it to? Let's move it to the test directory. And hit enter. And now let's run an ls. Except we're in the home directory, I want to do a ls on the test directory. So let's give it a path to the test directory. And then run an ls, and you see file1.txt is inside the test directory.
Okay, that's super cool. So that's kind of like what I was saying on last night's stream, is that that's one of the reasons why I wanted to learn terminal, is to speed things up. So when I'm moving files, I don't have to go in or rename files. So I'm going to try that again really quick. I'm going to move file2.txt into the test file. So, okay, mv. I don't know if I can do it from there though, can I? Let's try it. Okay, move file2.txt and then select the test file. I guess you have to put the slash after the test, the folder name. We'll find out. Here, let's try it. Oh, darn, I can't do it now. Control L. Let's go ls, and there's our test folder. And then, so let's change directory to test. If I could type. Okay, now let's do ls. And then remember he did that dash LH. Okay, so there's our two files, the file 1 and the file 2. Now, one thing I want to test though really quick, let's go back, CD, and let's create a new file. Well, there's that hello file. We'll try to move that. So let's use the move command, mv, and then hello underscore file. And we want to move it to the test directory. But what if I don't put this? I'm wondering what happens if I don't put the slash after test. Will it work? Oh, wait a minute. It may have. Now let's go back to cd test. And now let's look at the files inside of there now. Hey, it worked. So actually that saves you one keystroke. You can actually put the directory's name in there without the slash after it. Now I'm guessing if you're going up other layers, like say for example, there was another directory inside of test, then obviously you would have to do that. So actually let's do that. Let's make directory. Let's call it folder 1. And since we're under test right now, I'm assuming it's going to put it in test, but I don't know. Let's find out. MK command not found. Oh, I'm sorry. mkdir, sorry. Folder 1. That was a typo. Make directory folder 1. Okay. There we go. Now let's use the ls command to see if it actually made the folder inside test. And it did. There it is. Now that we're in test, actually, this is a better one. Let's go back to my start and let's put in move file1.txt and let's move that into, now this is where we're going to have to put the slash, I think, after test, and then into folder 1. Okay, we get an error. No such directory. Okay, so maybe it needs the slash after the folder 1 too. Nope. Okay, maybe it needs the slash before the test. Let's see. Negative. Okay, so maybe I need to be in that folder. Let's change directory to test. And then move file1.txt. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe that's why. Okay. And then just type in folder 1. And now let's go to ls. cd folder 1. And then ls. There's our file. Okay, perfect. Okay. That's good stuff. Sudo said you can just use ls-ls tests. Okay, let's try that. Let me go to ls-lh test slash. Oh, I think it, hold on, let's see. Oh, wow, okay. Thanks, sudo. All right, that's a good one. And let me write that down really quick. Hold on. So use ls space dash lh space directory name slash. Awesome. You could also stay in your home directory and then do move test slash. Okay, so directory slash file name instead of file name.txt. Interesting. See, that's exactly why I wanted to stream this, because you guys have all the knowledge. All right, let me back the video up about 15 seconds so we can just redo it.
Enter. And now let's run a ls, except we're in the home directory. I want to do a ls on the test directory. So let's give it a path to the test directory. And then run an ls, and you see file1.txt is inside the test directory now. If I run a ls without any arguments, you know, we'll run ls in the directory we're currently in, the home directory, and you see file1 is not here because we moved file1 to the test directory. But what if you wanted to just copy a file instead of moving it completely? Well, you could copy with cp. Instead of mv for move, do cp for copy, and I'm going to do file2 this time. And we're going to move file 2, of course, into the test directory. And now, again, if I do ls on the test directory, we now have file1.txt and file2.txt in the test directory. But if I ls in the home directory, file2.txt is also still in.
Okay, I'm going to pause it there because I want to try that. Let me go back to, well, let me see what's in the test folder really quick. What we have that we can copy over. Okay, we have a file in the test directory named file2, and then we have the directory folder1 inside of test. So let me see if I can copy it into folder1 and have it also a copy of it stay inside directory test. So he said cp, and then let's go file2.txt, and then we need to give it a destination of folder1 / okay, now let's change directory to folder1 and see if it copied it in there. Let's ls. Okay, there's file 1 and 2. Now I want to find out if there's still a copy inside the test directory. Uh-oh, what did I do wrong? cd test. I just want to go back up one level, up to the test folder. Do I have to cd test? cd test? No. Do you guys know how to go up one level by any chance without going all the way back to my home folder? Wasn't it like cd space dot or something like that? Let me try it. cd dot. Nope, that didn't work. Or maybe cd dot dot. Okay, there it goes. cd dot dot. I think that's it. Okay, let's ls that and see if we still have a copy of file 2 in the test directory. And we do. Okay, cool. And then let me just double check to verify. cd folder 1 ls, and there's our file 1 and file 2. Monster, there you go. You're on top of it. cd dot dot. Okay. You would have said it before I did if if we didn't have lag in here, but okay, awesome. Okay, let's clear this out really quick. Let's start from the beginning and then cd back to my home directory. Let's see what we have in there. We have all my normal directories, which is good. We had all those other files in there first. Now let's cd back to the test folder. This way we have a clear screen so we can see what's in there. Let's ls to see what's in there. We have our file 2 text. We have the hello file. And then we have folder 1. And let me just verify folder 1 to see what's in there. It should have test 1 and test 2 documents. Whoops, I messed up. ls. There we go. There's our file 1 and our file 2 inside the folder 1 directory. One thing that I do want to try is, let's go back up one step in let's go back to the test in ls. There's a file in there called hello file. I want to delete that. And I think he said it was rm. Actually, it was one of you guys last night that told me that. It's rm, because I was just looking at my notes here. Rm for, we're still in the test directory. That's not where the file is though. I need to, well, let's see what's in there really quick. ls. Okay, there's that hello file inside the test directory. I want to remove that. I believe it's just rm, and then make sure I type it with the right. And I want to delete that hello file. Okay, now let's ls it again, and we should just have file 2 text and folder 1 now. And we do. Okay, I got it. I got that part down. All right. Okay, I'm going to rewind this about 15 seconds and we'll start the video again.
On the home file1.txt and file2.txt in the test directory, but if I ls in the home directory, file2.txt is also still in the home directory because we copied it. So we have 2 file 2s, right? One in the home directory and then the copied one that is now in the test directory. Now, how do you remove files and directories? Well,
Oh,
to
here he
remove
goes.
a file, what
we
you
just
can
did
do
that.
is use the rm command for remove. And in this case, I want to remove file2.txt from the test directory. Now, right now, I'm in my home directory, right? You see the path, the tilde is signifying the home directory. That's where I'm at now. So to remove file2 from the test directory, I need to type the full path to it. So I need to type test/ and then file2.txt. And let's run that. And now when I do an ls on the test directory, file2.txt is no longer there because we removed it. And if I up arrow to get to that last command I ran, this time let's run file1. So let's remove test/file1.txt. And now when I run the ls on the test directory, it is now an empty directory.
Okay.
And now to remove an empty directory, you can't use the remove command. It doesn't work on directories typically. You can force it to work on directories, giving it certain flags. We'll get to that in a minute. But typically, to remove an empty directory, you do rmdir for remove directory. Remove directory test. Let me hit enter. Now let me ls, and the test directory is no longer there. Now, how do you...
Okay, I'm gonna pause it for a second. See, that's what. It's a good thing he did that because, like the way we removed that file when we did remove, I think it was called test2 or something from that one directory. It's a good thing I know that because the one question I have is that if you have a directory and you have files inside that directory or additional directories inside the directory that you run the rmdir on, will it give you a warning saying, hey, are you sure you want to do this? This directory includes some files. Let's test it. I want to see. Let's see what's inside the test directory. And let's see. Okay, we just have those two. We have a folder called folder1 in there, or directory, and we have file2 text. Those are just like dummy things that we made. So let's cd, let's go rmdir test. Because if we deleted it, it doesn't matter. They're just dummy folders. So let's see if that will do it. And it says no, failed to remove test, directory not empty. Okay, so it does give you a warning. Perfect. So if it was empty, then it was. So let's go to make directory inside my home folder and just call it test2. And let's check to see if it's there. It is there. Okay, so now let me run the remove directory command and see if it'll let me remove it since it's empty. And let's run the ls command again, and it's gone. Okay, perfect. So when you run the remove directory command for a directory, and it has contents in there, it gives you a fail to remove because the directory is not empty. But if it is empty, then it will go ahead and delete it. So you do get a warning. That's what kind of spooked me about deleting directories, because I was like, oh no, what if I delete something with, like, say it was a directory with all my books or a video or something like that I wanted in there. So that's kind of a good safety thing. Okay, and that's what you guys are saying in chat. Tab key will autocomplete the name of the directory. Oh, there you go. That's right. I forgot about that. RM does not work on an empty directory. It does. RM does work on an empty directory. If it has files in it, you have to say rm-f. Yeah, I'll never do that, monster, unless I know exactly what's in there. That's kind of dangerous to me. I will probably eventually have to use that if it's a directory with some just garbage in it. And then Monster also says, no, it gives no warnings unless you're deleting a write protected file. Okay. And then sudo says rm-rf directory name will nuke the directory and all the contents. Careful. Oh my God. Yeah. I'm going to write that down, but I'm not going to use it. I just want to know what it means. So rm space dash capital RF directory name. Directory name, and I'm going to use your exact terminology. It nukes the directory. Okay, it nukes directory. And I'm going to put a big old star next to it. Be careful. Be careful. Exclamation point, exclamation point. Awesome. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. All right, let's fire him back up again and move along.
Remove for remove directory. Remove directory test. Let me hit enter. Now let me ls, and the test directory is no longer there. Now, how do you remove a directory if it has stuff in it? How do you remove the directory and
here we
remove
go.
everything within the directory?
That's exactly what we're talking about.
Well, it's a dangerous command, but you need to know it. So let's go ahead and make the test directory one more time. So I'm going to mkdir test, and then let's put something in it. Let me copy file 2.txt over to test one more time. And now if I did a ls on the test directory, you see it's not an empty directory now. So rmdir on test actually will fail. It says fail to remove because the directory is not empty. You can't rmdir a directory unless it's empty. But you can use the rm command with these flags, -rf. And what this is remove recursively and forcefully a directory. Now this is a dangerous command because make sure that you actually want that directory deleted recursively, because if you messed up and removed recursively.
All right, I'm going to give that a test really quick. So I ran ahead and ran the remove directory test. It gave me the warning that the directory is not empty. Okay, so now I'm going to try to forcefully, and what was the other word he used? I can't remember. Let's go ahead and use the rf command. So we're going to remove dash something forcefully, and then we'll type in the test directory and see what happens. Uh-oh. Okay, I think it deleted it. That's okay. ls, and it's gone. Okay. So rm rf dash rf. Okay, let's get him back.
Because make sure that you actually want that directory deleted recursively, because if you messed up and removed recursively the root directory, for example, you would destroy your Linux installation. Or you rm-rf your home directory, you just lost all of your home user data. So, all your documents and everything are wiped out. So be very careful if you run the command rm -rf. Make sure that that path to the directory is correct and you really want that directory and all of its contents removed. In this case, it's pretty safe because the test directory was just a directory I created and there's really nothing in it. Now let me clear the screen here and let's talk about finding programs on your system. One of the things people often want to know about at the command line is where a particular program's binary is on the system. So any program that you can run from the command line, anything that you can execute from the command line, has a binary somewhere on the system. For example, the ls command that we've been running. Let me do this command here, which ls, and it's going to give me the path to the actual ls program, the ls executable binary on the system. It's going to tell me exactly where that lives on the system. I did which Firefox. I'm pretty sure Firefox is the default browser here in Mint. It will tell me where the binary for Firefox is. Now, I typically don't use the which command. There's a better command called where is. Where is does the same thing, except it lists multiple things. It will give you the path to the binary. It will give you the path to the libraries for Firefox. So user bin Firefox is the binary, that's the executable. User lib Firefox is where all the Firefox libraries should be. And it also typically gives you the path to the man page for that program. So user share man Firefox in this case. Now, how do you search for files and directories on your...
Hold on one second, guys. I don't want to go any further until I finish writing this down. So where is space app name shows where app is stored or located. Okay, awesome.
Your system typically gives you the path to the man page for that program. So user share man Firefox in this case. Now, how do you search for files and directories on your system? Maybe you are searching for a file that contains a specific name or a specific string of characters. Well, there's a couple of popular commands to do this. Probably the easiest command is the locate command. So I could run locate Firefox, and it will give me all the files and directories on the system that have Firefox as part of their name. Now, not every Linux installation is going to have the locate command available. To install locate, sometimes the package is not called locate. Sometimes it's called mlocate. So let me actually check that here on Mint. So if I did a sudo apt install mlocate, it's going to ask for my password, and mlocate is actually the package. So that is actually the program you need to install is mlocate, but the command to actually run is actually called locate, not mlocate. So locate and then a string of characters that you want to search for. Now, the locate searches a database. It takes a snapshot of your system. So every now and then you need to update the mlocate database. How you do that is run sudo and then update db, all one word. And then once you have the new scan of your system, then run another locate command.
Hold on one second. I'm actually going to do that really quick. Let me get out of this. I don't think I've ever done that. Okay, let's run sudo update db. Password. Okay, I guess it worked.
No, let's locate something that contains the word Linux. There's probably going to be a lot of stuff on the system that contains the string Linux as part of the path to that file or directory. Now let me clear the screen. Another kind of find command is just the standard find command that's part of the GNU core utils. So if I wanted to search through the entire root file system, I could do sudo, because we need sudo privileges to search through certain root directories. I'm going to do sudo space find space slash, because we want to search the root directory when the root directory is the slash symbol, space. I'm going to give it this flag -i name because I want it to search case insensitively, meaning I don't care whether the letters in the name are capital or lowercase. And what do we want to search for? We want to search for Linux. And it's going to give me, in this case, some directories that have Linux as part of the name. And it doesn't matter whether Linux began with a lowercase l or a capital L, because I gave it that I name flag. Now, the find command is very powerful. If you read the man page, it's a gigantic man page with a ton of flags and options available for it. I've done videos about the find command specifically, so check out my videos about find to know more. Now let me clear the screen. Let's talk about printing text right here at the command line. Probably the most common command for just printing something out at the command line is the echo command. So I could do echo, and I could do, in double quotes here, I'm going to do hello world. You could have done double quotes or single quotes. It really doesn't matter. Just wrap it in quotes, and it will spit out hello world. That's the output. Now, echo is a pretty standard command, but there's actually a better version of echo. There is the printf command. Printf is interesting. It's an upgraded version of echo because it allows you to do things like include special formatting and escape sequences. So I could do, for example, 1, and then I could do \n for new line 2, \n for new line 3, and then do the ending double quote and watch what happens. Now I get 3 lines, 1, 2, 3, because I could add those escape sequences for the new lines. If I tried to do that with echo, it wouldn't work because echo does not allow those escape sequences. I hope that makes sense. You say echo, just echoes exactly what I typed rather than swapping out the \n as line breaks. Now, an interesting character that you need to know about is the greater than sign, and what this does, it redirects output to a file. Let me show you. Let me run that printf command that we ran a minute ago. I'm going to printf 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, will be on their own lines, and then I'm going to do the greater than sign. So I want to take that output which is 123, and I want to direct it to a specific file. And it can be any file. It doesn't have to be a file that exists on the system. We can create a new file. Remember, I deleted file1.txt earlier, so let's create it again. File1.txt. I'm going to hit enter. If I do a ls, you will see file1.txt is now back. If I wanted to see what was in it, let's just run the cat command on file 1, and you see 1, 2, 3 is catted.
Okay, I gotta pause this for a second because I need to try that. Let me see if I have a directory in there and any folders or documents. So let's go ahead and type. Let's create one, which was printf. I'm sorry. Nano. And then let's just create some text. And we'll just call it test1 ls. There's our file. And then let's print f. I'm not sure what to call that. I guess that's the greater than sign. We'll just call it the greater than sign. Test1. Oh, it didn't work. Oh, what did I do wrong? Cat. I'm sorry. Cat. Test1. And I think I forgot to put. Let's see. Nope. Maybe. Let me back it up really quick.
Out and txt. I'm going to hit enter. If I do a ls, you will see file1.txt is now back. If I wanted to see what was in it, let's just run the cat command on file 1, and you see 1, 2, 3 is catted out. So the greater than sign,
I didn't save
that
mine as
is for
TXT.
redirecting output into a file. By the way, that cat command, it's really interesting, but sometimes you cat out a file and it's a gigantic file. Let me do cat on our .bash rc, which is the bash shell configuration file. We'll talk about that later, but let's do cat space .bash rc. And this is a gigantic file. We're already at the end of the file, but I would have to scroll up a lot to actually read this file. So catting out a file, a lengthy file, doesn't make a lot of sense. There's a better way to view this, and you use this command here, less and then .bash rc, and it cats it out, but it starts it at the top. And if you want to scroll down the file to actually read it, which makes more sense than being at the end and having to scroll back up, less starts at the top of the file, and to read it, you just hit enter. Just hit enter, and you go down line by line, and you could actually read it. To get out of less, type Q for quit. Now, let me clear the screen. Typically, when you cat a file or less a file, you're looking for a specific line of text, a specific string of text. A better way to actually find that line of text you're searching for is to use the grep utility. Grep is essentially a search utility. So run the command grep and then the string you're searching for. Maybe I want to search for the word alias. So I'll wrap that in single quotes, space, and then the location of the file that I actually want to search for the word alias in. I want to search in my .bash rc file. Let me run that, and you see the output. It prints out every line that had the word alias somewhere in that line. Let me clear the screen one more time. Earlier, we talked about a very special character. We talked about the greater than sign that redirects output to a file. Another really interesting character is the pipe symbol. What is the pipe symbol? Well, it takes the output of one program and directs it into another program. So let me give you an example. Let's run the ls command. Let's do ls, and let's do -l for long format. So this is the ls command. Maybe I want to run the ls command, and then I want to take that output and pipe it into another program. Maybe I want to pipe it into, another GNU utility, kind of like grep, is sed. What is sed? Well, sed is often used as a search and replace kind of tool, and the way it works is you do s/ and then the old text / then the new text that you want to
Well,
replace, and then /G, and then the ending double quote. So in this case, what I want to do is, there's a lot of vowels in this ls command. What I want to do, let's replace them all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do inside square brackets, I'm going to do A, E, I, O. And what I want to do is I want to replace every A, E, I, and O with the letter U. And watch what happens. There are no vowels anymore in this except the U. Actually, every A, E, I, O is still there. It was just replaced with the vowel U. I hope that makes sense. So we took the ls command, and the output from the ls command, we piped it into another command, the sed command, and then it ran the sed command. I hope that makes sense.
all right, wait a minute. I got a question. Is that permanent? Did he just rename those files, or is that just for the ls command to show it that way? I don't think I would ever need to do that, but I'm just kind of curious.
I know that can be a little complicated, but piping is one of the most unique things about the bash shell and Linux and the command line, and you could keep piping. So we run the ls command, we piped it into sed, and then we could pipe it into another command. Maybe when you want to run, I don't know, the sort command, which sorts alphabetically or numerically. In this case, it's not going to do much because the very first letters are either D or dash, so that's how it sorted it. But you can keep piping stuff. We can, after we sort it, we could run the grep command. Maybe I want to search for specific lines, which include, how about just the lines that include D, R, W, X, R? So it's going to include all of these lines, but these last two lines, it's not going to return those. You see. So you can keep piping into more programs and more programs. So that's really the interesting thing with the shell, and eventually with shell scripting once you start creating your own custom scripts. Now let me clear the screen. We've talked about catting a file, so again, let's cat.bashrc just as an example. Again, it cats out the entire file. We're already at the end of the file. I'd have to scroll back up to read it. We've shown you less. Less is a better way. It's still...
Yeah, I think you're right, Monster. For like the last 4 or 5 minutes, this is like way more than, it's kind of over my head. The title of the video is Beginner's Guide to Linux Terminal. I think he's getting a little bit too much into, you know what I mean? It's a little too much. I think he needs to go back a little bit into more of the basic stuff for me. But I'm going to continue to watch and take notes. But that whole pipe thing, that kind of lost me. I understood the basics of it, but it was a little bit too advanced for me. So I'm going to go ahead and continue the video, though.
Cats out the whole file, but you start at the top and have to read from the top. But a lot of times you don't need the whole file. A lot of times you just need specific groups of lines from the file. Typically you just need a few lines at the top or a few lines at the bottom of the file. And if you run head space .bashrc, if I can type it correctly, what it does is it prints out by default the first 10 lines of the file. So head, name of file, prints out the first 10 lines. If instead of head I ran tail.bashrc, it prints out the last 10 lines by default. Now you can actually specify a number of lines. If 10 is not what you want, you could do head space -n for number of lines space, and then maybe instead I want 15 lines, and then space name of file. Now I get a head, but I get 15 lines of the head. And if I wanted to do that on tail, I could do that as well. Tail, again, -n for number of lines, and then the actual number of lines you want, and then the name of the file. And in this case, we just ran the tail command and got the last 15 lines of our .bashrc. Now let me clear the screen. Now let me run a ls space -l for the long format of the ls command. What is all of this stuff at the beginning of the files and directories? These are the file permissions. Now this will be a lengthy discussion that I don't have time to get into on this video. I have done a video about file permissions on Linux, and I suggest you guys watch that. The command you use to change file permissions
That'll
is
probably be the next video
chmod
that I do.
space, and then
Probably
whatever file
tomorrow.
permissions you want to set, and you can set it in the DRWX RWX RWX format, or you can just do it as numerical values. Maybe I want to change file1.txt and give it permission 755. So chmod space 755 and then file1.txt. So I just changed it from, it looks like it was 644 before to 755. So if I do ls-l again, you see file 1 now, instead of being rw dash, rw dash, r dash dash, is now rwx, r dash x, r dash x. Now you, again, watch my file permissions video to understand what all of that means. Just know that the chmod command is what you use to change permissions. Now let me clear the screen here. Now, one of the things you often will use chmod for is to give yourself execute permissions for a file. For example, in nano, let's create a simple bash script. So I'm going to do nano and I'm going to do script.sh for shell script. And we want this script to run echo, and then we want to do hello world. A very simple script here, right? So then Control X to exit, Y to write, and then just hit enter. Now let's try to execute this script. If we execute it, it should print out hello world right here in the terminal. To execute a shell script, what you need to do is period, slash, and then the name of the shell script. So in this case, we're going to do period slash script.sh. And we're going to get an error because permission denied. Why is permission denied? Well, if I do ls space dash l and go to script.sh, we do not have execute permissions. No, execute permissions are the X's that are in some of the files. So we do not have permission to actually...
All right, I got a quick question. Like what he's talking about right here, as far as permissions go, me as the admin, since I'm the only user on this computer, shouldn't I have access to pretty much everything on the computer? And I don't plan on adding any other users. I don't plan on setting up a network or anything like that, at least not now. Is this really important? Because if I'm the admin and I have access to the sudo command, I should pretty much be able to do, like, look at anything, move anything, delete anything that I want to do as an admin. I don't really think any of this is, maybe down the road, this kind of stuff, as far as permissions, might be applicable to me, but right now I think this is a little bit more, I get what they're saying. I know, like, I understand, like, the Diaz directory, read, write, execute, and I think what he was saying was, like, so the first three were for the admin or whatever, and then the second part of 3, RWX, was for group, and then RWX, the third one is for individual, whoever's logged in, I guess. So I should have access to everything since I'm the admin on here. At least that's my thinking. I'm not sure if I'm right or not. It's to protect you from yourself. That's funny. All right, I'm gonna start it back, but again, I think he's getting a little. I'm glad that he said that, because it does, you need to know that kind of stuff. But on the other hand, the beginner, as far as, like, he was saying with the numbers, like the 6, 7, 5 or whatever, that kind of stuff, I don't really understand all that yet. But if I'm just a single person and I'm not, like, running a network or anything like that, it's just, my computer, my files, stuff like that, I don't think I should have an issue. Like, well, let me run it really quick on my terminal really quick and see. If I run ls long, so all of them are directories in my home folder with the exception of the test1 file, because they all have the D, and then all of them have RWX except for the test file. So I'm not sure why the first row, or the administrator or admin and the group, I don't understand why it doesn't have execute, because I can execute that file. I can open it, so I'm not sure why it doesn't have the X on there. Sometimes you have to make files executable though, like bash scripts. That's when you need. Windows automatically runs anything with .ext. Linux automatically does not run anything unless you tell it to do so. Okay. All right. That's something, maybe that's the video that I'll watch tomorrow that we'll go over, is getting more into permissions and stuff like that. Because I'm not quite sure why when I ran ls and it listed that test1 file that they all don't have RWX. Because I created the file. I can modify the file. I can write to it. I can read it. And I can execute it. So, interesting. All right, let me go ahead and get his video started. We only have a couple more minutes. Well, we have about 7 more minutes left on it. And again, if you want to check out this guy later, the name of the channel is DistroTube. So this video has a lot of views. It's got like 271,000 views. So it must be pretty darn popular. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and restart it. Oh, wait a minute. Monster just typed something interesting in chat. Executable files usually appear as green depending on your terminal colors. Okay. I think I just have mine changed. Oh, no, wait a minute. I don't. Okay. Let me get back to the video and I'll cover that tomorrow.
Execute that file, meaning we don't have permission to actually run that script. How do we get this permission? Typically, you're going to do chmod space plus x, meaning add the x's to the file permissions. Add x 3 times, basically, to script.sh. Now that we've done that, let me up arrow. And now when we try to run the script, it actually runs. And you get on the output, hello world. Now, let me clear the screen. One very useful command that you will often use inside the shell is the history command. So make sure you guys know history. Just type the word history, and it gives you, the last. Well, it will vary depending on your bash RC settings, but it will give you several hundred or maybe even several thousand commands that you've run recently in your history. Once you've run the history command, of course, you could always just copy and paste the command you were looking for. But interesting thing about history is it gives you numbers. It lists them by numbers. For example, maybe I want to run the command that's number 84, which is the tel-n15 on the bash RC. How would I run that? Well, you simply do exclamation point and then no space, just the number that is listed in the history. So do exclamation 84, and it will run the 84th command in your shell history. Another interesting history kind of alias is just the 2 exclamation points, the bang bang. That signifies the very last command I ran, and this is extremely useful. So let me clear the screen and I will show you why you need to know about the bang bang command. So maybe I want to update my system on a Debian or an Ubuntu based system, or here in Linux Mint. Typically what you want to do is apt update. So let's run an apt update. It's going to say sudo password for DT. So it actually knows we need sudo privileges, but I'm going to cancel that. A lot of times when you run a command that needs sudo privileges that you didn't give sudo privileges to, it's going to say you can't run that command. So let's imagine that that command failed. Well, what I could do is go back right afterwards and then do sudo space and then bang bang, meaning run sudo and then space, and then the last command I ran. So it's basically going to run sudo apt update. And it prints it out, sudo apt update. Now give your root password or whatever it is, and it will actually update the system. I'll actually let that.
So basically, is what he's saying that the bang bang is just a shortcut to update? I'm guessing. Or did I hear that wrong? Let me back it up a second. So he just runs sudo bang bang. Here, let me try it. I'm just curious. Sudo bang bang. And then my screen went blank when I did it though. It cleared my screen. Why did it do that? Let's try it again. It just clears my screen when I run it. Wait a minute. Let me see if he typed in sudo.
Sudo space and then bang bang, meaning run sudo and then space and then the last command I ran. So it's basically going to run sudo apt update. And it
Oh,
prints it out, sudo apt update. Now,
okay. So it just runs the last update, or it runs the last one that you did. Let me make sure that's what he's saying here.
sudo and then space and then the last command I ran. So it's basically going to run sudo apt update. And it prints it out, sudo apt update.
Oh, so that's why it cleared my screen, because the clear. I get it now. Okay, so now let me run ls and then run sudo. Now it should run ls again. Yeah, there. That's why my screen went blank, because the last command that I ran was clear. But isn't that interesting though? When I run the bang bang or whatever, it runs the ls command, but all the directories are white, like they're files and not directories. Because when I run ls, it shows that test1 file is white and the directories is blue. But if I run sudo bang bang, where's that? It's going to run the ls command, but look, all the directories are white for some reason. Interesting. I'm going to have to look at the man page on that after a while. Let me put in look up bang and bang bang. I'm not sure why you would want to run that. I mean, I know it's a shortcut, it's less keystrokes, but or maybe if you forgot what the last command, but that could also be dangerous. Maybe. I don't know. But it is interesting that when you run the sudo bang bang and you've used the ls command, that the directories come back showing as files. Let me run ls lh. Okay. And then now let's run sudo bang bang. Oops. And see if they show up the same. No. Again, all the directories are showing white, the same as files. Because the coloring is set up inside your bash rc, and when you run with sudo, it uses the admin's bash rc. Oh, okay. And that has no colors defined. Well, there's the answer to it. Awesome. Thanks, bud. I appreciate it. All right, let me get back to him. All right. That's interesting. Okay, I'm still going to read the man page on that, though. Let me write that down to check that out. Let's see. Read man page on that. Because I'm curious to see if there's like other variables you can put after it to make it do different things. I wouldn't think that there is, but you never know. All right, let me go ahead and start it back up. Let me back it up a couple of spaces.
Run sudo and then space and then the last command I ran. So it's basically going to run sudo apt update. And it prints it out, sudo apt update. Now give your root password or whatever it is, and it will actually update the system. I'll actually let that run since I started it. All right, clear the screen. Let's talk about how to kill a program, because this is something you often do at the command line. You got programs running and you want to close them, and there's several different ways to close a program, or kill a program is how we call it here in Linux. You could simply run kill space and then the process ID for that process that's running, or sometimes you can just give it the name of a program. Right now I'm in the GNOME terminal. I think if I did kill GNOME terminal, it would probably kill it. I don't want to do that because I just have to reopen it and then zoom in again. Another thing you could do is, if you have several instances of a particular program, maybe you have multiple instances of the GNOME terminal running, you could do kill all space, GNOME terminal or whatever it is that you're trying to kill. Another interesting way to kill a program is the xkill command. So let me open up something I don't mind killing. So let's open up the file manager here. Now that I have the file manager open, let me minimize this, and I'm going to run xkill. Xkill will turn your cursor into an X,
No
meaning
way.
anything you click on will be killed. It only does it one time. So if I click on the file manager with the X, we just killed the file manager. So 3 things you need to know.
That's interesting.
Kill all, X kill. Another way to kill a program is through htop. If htop is installed, htop is not currently installed. Let me sudo apt install htop. And then let's run htop. And htop shows all the processes that are running on your system.
Oh, I want to
So
try
what
that.
I could do is I could...
Hold on one second. I want to. Oh, I got it. Oh, wow. Okay. Okay, that's useful. Because if something's hogging up resources or something like that, I would be able to see it. So, like, for example, if I wasn't streaming and OBS was running and I just wanted to do it, then I could just use that kill command, or I could just bring it up and close it myself. There's other options in there though, like filter, tree, sort by. Let's see what. I'm not sure what that did, but okay. I'm gonna write that one down. What was that? H-top? H-T-O-P. All right. Let me see what else he has to say about this one.
just install htop. And then let's run htop. And htop shows all the processes that are running on your system. So what I could do is I could just arrow down here and find, the program that I want to kill. Maybe I want to kill most of this stuff, or daemons running in the background, but just imagine I want to kill this particular process that I'm highlighted on right here, rsyslogd. Now I don't actually want to kill it, but if I did, I would type F9. You see at the bottom it tells me, let me move my head out of the way, F9 for kill. You see this at the bottom? It gives you the hotkeys for it. So just type F9, and then another menu will come up. Let me show you. F9. Another menu will come up. It's already highlighted on SIGTERM. Just hit enter, and it will actually kill that process. Now, I actually don't want to do that, so let me get out of htop. Let me get my head back up, and let's clear the screen one more time. Another interesting command you sometimes need, not necessarily on some of the more beginner-friendly distros like Linux Mint and Ubuntu and things like that, but a lot of times, if you're doing more minimal installations, like maybe you're doing a server install, like a Debian server or Ubuntu server, or maybe you're doing a minimal Arch install or a Gentoo install, and during the installation process, you're wondering, hey, is networking actually working? Do you have internet? Well, a good way to test it is just to run the ping command. Ping and then the address to some website or some IP address that just ping it. And obviously, google.com is a popular website. Let's see if we can ping Google. And we can. You see, it just keeps returning it. Now do Control-C on the keyboard to kill the ping. Another common command as far as internet is wget. What is wget? It allows you to download something from the web. It's basically a download command. So wget, and maybe I want to do https:// and then I don't know, somelinux.com. This is the website for some Linux OS. I don't know. And / and then new-release.iso, right? That would be the command I could run at the terminal, if I knew the path to, or the URL for some particular Linux's ISO, for a download, I could run wget to download that ISO. I hope that makes sense. Some other interesting command line utilities are the date command. The date command just returns the date. Now you could give it several different flags. You can change the format drastically. Again, just if you're ever wondering about flags for a program, just do man space name of program. So let's read the date man page, and you get various flags, formatting options, and I won't cover that. You guys can cover that on your own. Just read the man page. So that is date. Another one you can run is cal. Cal, self-explanatory, is a calendar. And another interesting one you can run from the command line is BC, and this is your basic calculator. So type BC, and you have a prompt, and I could just start doing simple mathematics here. So if I did 2 + 2 hit enter, and I get 4 returned.
Oh, wait a minute. Now that will come in handy because I'm always having to like grab my phone to use the calculator. Hold on. BC calculator. All right, hold on 1 second. That's a good one.
C, and you have a prompt, and I could just start doing simple mathematics here. So if I did 2 plus 2, hit enter, and I get 4 returned. And let me quit out of that. Control C should get us out of that. And it actually returned an error. It says use quit to exit. So let's just type the word quit, and we get out of BC. Let me clear the screen. I don't want this tutorial to run too long. The only thing I want to discuss real quick, let me do a ls-la for all files and long format and hidden files, because I want to show you guys in your home directory, look for .bash rc. What is bash rc? That is your config file. A lot of Linux files, if they end with the 2 letters rc, that signifies they are a config file. So do nano space .bash rc. And now we have our bash rc opened in our text editor, and you could go in here and you could edit some stuff, change some stuff, but really the interesting things are aliases. And you see alias ll is ls-alf. So if we don't like doing our standard ls command, what we could do is just use the ll command because they created an alias for it. So let me open up a new terminal. Let me zoom in a little bit here. There we go. And do ll. And ll is the same as running ls-laf. Is what is the exact same command. I hope that makes sense. That's what a bash alias is. I've done some videos on bash aliases before. And you know, you can add other bash aliases. For example, let me quit out of this. Do I want to save?
Wait a minute. So if I like using ls-lh, I can make an alias for it and just type in, could I just name it like BB or something that's not already used? Let me see.
No, I really haven't changed anything. Anyway, to update your system on a Debian or an Ubuntu based system, typically you have to run this command: sudo apt update space and sudo apt upgrade. And I suggest you guys get used to installing software, removing software, updating your system at the command line. But the problem with this particular command, you know, you're going to want to update your system probably once a week, twice a week. And this is a lengthy command to type. It may be hard to remember the command if you're not used to running this command. What I would do is I would create an alias for this command. So what I would do is get back in your bash rc. So do nanos.bash rc. And somewhere where you have aliases already written, I would just add a new alias. So there was already some aliases here. So I'm going to go to this line down here. And let's...
Wait a minute. I think that is it. Because he's got 3 aliases set up right now on there. He's got ll equals ls-alf, and then la equals ls-a. And then L equals ls-cof. I need to get into there to look at mine. I'm not going to do it right now because that would be too timely because I'm slow. But, yeah, that's interesting.
Do alias space. We need to create a name for the alias. I'm going to do apt up for update or upgrade. Apt up equals, no space between the alias name and the equal sign. It has to be name equals without a space, and then we'll do a single quote, and we want this alias to run this command: sudo apt update and sudo apt upgrade. And then do the ending single quote, and then do Control X to exit, Y to right, and hit enter. And we have to restart bash here. Now I could just close the terminal and then reopen it, you know, for the changes to take effect. But if I want to do that without closing the terminal, I can do this command: source. And what I want to source is the path to my .bash rc, which is, I'm going to type the full path. The tilde character, which is the alias for my home directory, /.bash rc. Let me hit enter. And now that I've done that, we've sourced the new bash rc file, the one we just added that new alias for. Let's try that new alias: apt up. Hit enter. And it is running sudo apt update, and then it's also going to run sudo apt upgrade. It's asking us, do we actually want to take the upgrade? I'm going to type in for no, because I'll upgrade off camera. So that's all I wanted to cover on this tutorial on learning some of the basic terminal commands. And I came at this, for those of you that are absolute beginners, I know we covered a ton of commands very quickly. So you're going to probably have to go back and re-watch this 2 or 3 times to get everything down. But honestly, if you just re-watch the video 2 or 3 times and actually run the commands that I ran, it'll stick in your head. These are not complicated. And once you've learned them, you will always use them. You will never open up a file manager to move files, copy pop files, or see the contents of a directory. No, you're always just going to open up a terminal and type a ls to see contents of a directory. It's just faster. Same thing with moving files. You're just going to mv path the file, especially if you use the tab complete in the bash shell. It's actually much faster than trying to drag files and with multiple file manager windows.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to use that alias thing because some of those commands are really long to type out. I mean, not like any of them are like writing a paragraph or anything like that, but it would be super helpful to the if there's a command that I type on a regular basis that's a little bit longer. I am definitely going to go in there and rewatch that part, and then try it out, because some of the commands that I was running last night when I was testing it out, some of them are kind of lengthy. So if there was like an alias that I could put, the only thing that I'd be worried about is that what if I try to give an alias, like say for example, like that one upgrade, and I gave it the alias LL, and there was already an alias LL. Would I get an error code when I try to save it, or when I try to actually do it, would I get some kind of error saying that there's some kind of conflict or something? Let me try Google really quick. Let's just type in Linux. What if I create a duplicate alias? If a duplicate alias is created in the Linux shell, the most recent definition of that alias will be override and previous definition. The shell simply uses the last defined alias for that given name. Okay. Interesting. So if there's an alias in there called ls that equals ls-l, and then I make a new one called ls equals ls-la, it'll be the last one that I created, and the old one will be overwritten. In the scenario where ls is typed, it will be executed ls-la because it was the last definition assigned to ls. The previous definition ls-l is effectively replaced. It says this behavior is applied whether you are defining aliases directly in the command line for the current session or adding them to configuration files like bashrc or zshrc. If you have multiple definitions of the same alias in your configuration file, the one that appears later in the file or is sourced later will be the active one. While creating duplicate aliases is not harmful to the system, it can lead to confusion if you're not aware of the order of the definition and which alias is currently active. It is generally recommended to avoid duplicate aliases definition for clarity and to ensure that the intended command is executed. Okay, so it's not horrible. It's not like it's a game change, like breaking the system or something. It's just you need to know. So I need to go back in there and look at those just to make sure I don't duplicate any of them that I plan on making. All right, let's go ahead and start this back up. Let's see. The only alias you use is hx for Helix and to edit config files, never for commands. Interesting. Let's see.
Open. You're never going to do that stuff in a GUI program again. I think one of the things, I think a lot of people think the terminal and the command line are harder than they actually are. And I really hope that this video inspires more of you to actually learn the command line. Now, before I go, I need to thank a few special people. I need to thank Absi.
All right. Well, before I end it, I want to make sure that we give full credit to this gentleman on here. His channel is DistroTube, DistroTube. I'm definitely going to be subscribing to him. Let's look at his playlist to see what other videos he has. DistroTube. Let me make this a little bit bigger.
So I've been getting a lot of requests about making Doom.
Okay, let's see. He's got videos on the new DTOs live. I'm not sure what that is. Share files locally with any local send. Use Linux apps prevent me from going back to Windows. How to fit in with the Linux community. That would be interesting. Maybe we need to watch that. That video was posted 3 years ago. He has a video on Arch Linux installation guide. Some people were saying how difficult that is to do to install it sometimes, so that might be a good one to watch at some point if we decide to install Linux on one of the older machines. Top 5 reasons to run Arch. Top 12 Linux apps. That was from 4 years ago. Let's look at what he's done recently. First look at Fedora 43. Linux fragmentation. Terminal is an open source e-ink display. Say what? TRMNL. The TRMNL is an open source e-ink display. Interesting. Okay. Let's see what else he's got in here. Then he's got a file in here. It's or a video called F-Search is the fast file searcher. Become a power user in 5 steps. Let's see what else he's got. And then he's got, so it looks like he mainly focuses on Linux stuff. That's good. I'll definitely be checking his channel out again. Let me write it down here. DistroTube. Thank you, Mr. DistroTube. I appreciate this tutorial that you provided us with. Definitely got about 3/4 of a sheet of notes here of stuff that's new. Let's see. Awesome. All right. Well, I think that was a good, for me, I don't know, you guys are probably like really bored with it because you guys probably already know all this stuff. But to me, it was pretty, I'd say about 80% of the video was good for me. That one part when he started getting into permissions and stuff like that was a little bit over my head. I'll have to maybe watch another video on that that takes it more detail and gives me a little bit more information on that, or breaks it down for me for a beginner, because that was like kind of talking over my head. And like when he got into the double pipe thing or the pipes, I didn't really understand that part too much. But I think he said actually that he had another video that was dedicated to that. So maybe we'll do that video tomorrow night. Linux TV, that's right. I'm going to write that one down. Let's pull up Linux TV just to see what he's got. Let's search for that. Linux TV. I have watched some of his videos, I think. Let me, oh, maybe I haven't. It says I'm subscribed to him, so I must have watched some of his videos. The latest videos no, that's from like a year ago. Wait a minute. Click on here. Maybe I have. Apparently I have watched some of his videos because it says I'm subscribed. Let's see what his newest videos are that are out. Ad free. How to install Fedora 43 step by step. Linux and AI in 2025. Benefits and risks you must know. Linux and AI in 2025 again. Benefits and risks. Still the best known distro, Fedora 43. Wow, what's up with this Fedora? Does anybody here have any experience with Fedora? I don't know anything about it. You guys feel if you guys are going to be around for a couple minutes, we could watch one of his videos really quick. Let's see which one. I'm going to check out this one video really quick just to see if it's something interesting. The title of the video is Fedora 43 Review, Still the Best Known Distro, question mark. And again, this guy's channel is Learn Linux TV. So maybe this is a different channel. This is Learn Linux TV. Is this a different channel from just Linux TV? Let's check it out.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to Learn Linux TV. In today's video, what we're going to do is check out Fedora 43. As of the time I'm recording this video, it's the latest release of the popular Linux desktop, and you're going to see it in action in today's video. And Fedora itself is one of my favorite distributions. I also really enjoy the GNOME desktop as well, and the GNOME desktop is presented very well in Fedora 43 as it's been in pretty much every release of the distribution. And in this video, I'm going to give you my thoughts on the latest release. I'll let you know what's new this time around. I'll go over the installation process, and I'll give you my overall thoughts on whether or not I think you should install this distribution on your computer. And as you'll see during my review, Fedora 43 doesn't reinvent the wheel this time around. Instead, it focuses on polishing what's already great and updating the software stack to deliver some of the best tools that the Linux community has to offer. Under the hood, this release ships with Linux kernel 6.17 and GNOME 49, which together bring most of the improvements that you'll notice day to day. And in this review, we'll take a closer look at some of the highlights this release has to offer. And you know what? I'm excited to show off Fedora 43, so let's get started right now. And here it is. Fedora 43 brings the usual round of software updates along with a series of...
Hey, I got a quick question, guys. Remember last night when we were talking about the different distros and there was like a hierarchy of like where the distros came from? Like there's Ubuntu, and then under Ubuntu there's Linux Mint. Where did Ubuntu come from Fedora, or did it come from like a different one? Because I know there was like a hierarchy of like where it came from and kind of went downhill. I'm kind of curious to see where Fedora, because I think I remember somebody saying Fedora was like one of the top ones, but anyhow.
Small refinements that make the platform feel even more polished. The headline change for desktop users this time around is going to be GNOME 49, which is the latest version of the popular desktop environment as of the time I'm recording this video. Like Fedora itself, GNOME 49 focuses on incremental improvements rather than major new features, offering subtle tweaks that enhance usability while keeping the overall experience familiar. One notable change, though, is actually what's missing. Fedora 43 drops X11 entirely, making Wayland the only supported display server. For those of you that are new to Linux, a display server is what handles how graphics are drawn on your screen. X11 has served that role for decades, but Wayland is its modern replacement. It's faster, more secure, and better suited for today's hardware. Fedora adopted Wayland by default years ago, and now it's stable enough.
So it was Debian or Debian, Ubuntu to Mint. Okay. So is there any things that came off Fedora? Or is Fedora like in the middle of another one? I'm not sure. Again, I don't know. I don't really care. You know, what, like, who was it that just said, like, whatever, the best distro is the one that you like best? What Sudo said. I agree with that 100%, you know. I've only tried one other version of Linux, and it was fine. It was good, but this is just the one that was easiest for me. I may switch to another one someday or install a different one on another computer, but for now, I'm happy with this one. But I think they're all good so far, like the videos I've seen. Let's see what else he says about it.
That the old X11 fallback is no longer needed and is now not even present. Most users won't even notice the difference though, but it is a big milestone for the Linux desktop. Now, when it comes to changes in GNOME that you'll actually notice, let's start with the default apps. In GNOME 49, there's a new video player and also a new document viewer. The longtime Totem app, which was used to play videos, has been replaced by Showtime, and Papers now takes over document viewing for events. Both of these serve the same purposes as their predecessors, but they're built on the more modern GTK4 toolkit, bringing them in line with the rest of the GNOME desktop. Another improvement comes with GNOME Software, which is the app store used for installing and updating software. It looks and works mostly the same in Fedora 43, but it's faster now, especially when dealing with large Flatpak repositories like FlatHub. And this means that browsing, searching, and updating apps in Fedora 43 feels noticeably smoother and more responsive. The lock screen also gained some long overdue functionality as well. You can now reboot or shut down your computer right from the lock screen, and media controls have been added too. And this means that you no longer have to unlock your system just to do things like skip a song, stop playback, reboot, or shut down. And sure, these are small improvements, but they're welcome nonetheless. And these quality of life additions bring GNOME closer to what other desktops have been offering for a while. Finally, GNOME 49 includes a handful of smaller refinements as well. For example, the Do Not Disturb toggle has been moved from the notification area to quick settings.
All right, I think that's enough of that. I don't know that much about Fedora to say anything on it, so I want to check out some of these other videos that he has on here. Will Linux run on a nuke box? I've been seeing these little computers everywhere, these little small computers. Those little Raspberry Pis kind of intrigue me. I don't know anything about them, but except the fact that they're small and everybody seems to be running Linux on it. And here's like one where he has a video about the best Raspberry Pi 5 case, which is kind of interesting. I didn't even know they made cases for them. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on, guys. I kind of want to do this one. Unlock the power of Linux tree command. Oh, that's for members only. You have to be a channel. I'm not a member of his channel. I subscribe, but I don't think I can watch this one. Let me just see. Yeah, you have to join the channel. Oh my gosh, $5 a month. $10 a year, or $30. Yeah, I'm not interested in that, but you guys want to be my channel members? I would like that. Then I could do more stuff, but oh gosh, that's too bad. You can't watch it. Is there one on here that's not for channel members? It's just regular. Or we could just let me see something. Let's see if it'll.
But what I'm going to
Let's see.
You can watch these videos in any order, as each one is designed to be standalone. It can be incredibly useful. So let's dive in and check out the tree command right now.
Where's the tree command?
Now the first thing we're going to need to do is make sure that the tree command is available. And to check that, we could type command-v. Then we could use the tree command as an argument. All we're doing right now is just making sure that we have the tree command available. So what I'll do is press enter, and in my case, I do. It shows me the path where the tree command can be found, which means that it is installed. Now if for some reason the tree command is not available, then all you should have to do is install it. For example, on Debian or Ubuntu, you can run sudo apt install tree, or if you're using another distribution such as Fedora, maybe something that uses the DNF package manager, then you can simply swap apt for DNF. Once you have the command available, then we'll start using it. Basically, all you need to do right now is make sure that you have the tree command available, and then we'll get started. And the basic usage of the tree command is really simple. What I'll do right now is enter tree just like that with no options or no arguments, and we're going to see what the output looks like.
Whoa.
Now when I scroll up, you'll see that it shows the directories, and it also shows the contents of each directory within a tree, which is why it's called the tree command. As you can see, it shows files, directories, and so on. Now just to give you an idea of the difference, if I run ls-l just like this in my current working directory, then you can see that I have 2 directories and 3 files. Obviously, within the subdirectories, there's going to be additional files. For example, we see quite a few files in my logs backup directory. And also, I have some screen recordings in my screencast folder, as you can see right here. Now, there's nothing wrong with simply using ls to browse your file system, but when we enter tree, just like this, we see everything all at once. And when you enter the tree command with no
Hold on, let me see if I can find a folder that has some stuff in it to try it. cd documents ls. Okay, let's try that. Let's go, so I guess just tree in here. Oh, that's kind of cool, guys. I don't, do y'all ever use that? So I went into my documents directory and typed in tree, and then it brought up a little, like the 2024 tornado season. That's a document that I'm working on for a video that's coming out that I'm making. The bow thing for my shortwave radio, my API key, a folder, and then so there's nothing in the coding folder since there's nothing there, and then weather zone 411 audio. That was for my live stream the other day. All those files in there. Website images. Those are the ones that uploaded to the website. That's right. That's kind of cool. I don't know about you guys, but visually, that's kind of neat. Yeah, it is. Siri, it is really cluttered if you're looking at a huge one. Like if you're looking at your home folder, it's huge. It's too much. But if it's a small folder, like I don't have much on my computer, so like in my documents, it's not a whole lot. Let me see what's anything in my downloads folder. I know there's got to be stuff in there. And yeah, there's a lot. Okay, so there's not a lot, but if you wanted to break it down, like say for example, you did, I don't know what all that stuff is though. Let's go to CD. Okay, and then run tree here. Okay, I'm not really sure. That is pretty cool though. It just looks kind of different. It looks different. Interesting. I'm gonna look into that. I'm gonna watch some videos on that and see. But yeah, I think if you're using a small folder, like if you're just going, well, depending on how big it is. Like for me, my documents folder is not that big. But if I was looking for, like, say I wrote a script for a video that I'm making, and I know that I keep that most of them somewhere in my documents folder and I can't find it, that might be a good way. Or you could always, and that's if I don't know the name of the file, because if I know the name of the file, I think I could just use the find command. Like if let's go to ls really quick. I think I can just type in find test1 maybe, and there it is. Or locate. Oh wow, there's everything with test. That's a lot of stuff. Anyhow, I'm probably getting too far into it. But anyhow, y'all, I just wanted to do that video tonight because that was a beginner's tutorial on the terminal commands. So that was pretty good. I definitely learned a lot on that one. And there's a couple things that I need to research a little further. One thing that I thought was pretty cool, takeaways for me, was the touch command, that you could just create files that way. That's pretty awesome. Let's see. We use the cat command. Of course, we used nano last night also, but that's still pretty neat. I like that. And then we learned how to remove a file, how to move a file, remove a file, create a file or directory. And then we also learned that the rm-rf will totally nuke a file if it has stuff in it. So not use that unless you really know what you're doing. The where is app name command, the one that shows you where the app is located, that was pretty good. Oh, there's the sudo find. Now the one that I needed to look up and research a little bit farther that started getting a little bit over my head was the grep command, grep. I didn't really understand that one, the grep and the pipe. I didn't, that was over my head. The bang and the bang bang. HTOP was pretty cool. I learned how to use the calculator to bring that up. I got to mess with that a little bit more. And aliases, I'm definitely going to go in there and mess with that because there's some commands, that take a little bit of time to type out since I'm a slow typer. So having some aliases for commands would be pretty awesome. Hey, Braven, we're doing good. We're just going over some computer stuff that we're learning. But that pretty much wraps it up, guys, I think. If you guys have any suggestions for a video tomorrow, there's a couple of them that I have on my list to watch. But if y'all want to go over something different tomorrow, I'm totally up for ideas. You can just shoot me a message on Discord if you want. I'm not sure if I have any other ways to contact me. There might be a way to contact me directly through YouTube. I'm not sure. I'm still kind of a noob to the whole YouTube thing as far as communication. But the best way to contact me is pretty much on Discord. I think I can also get messages on X, and the handle on X is just WeatherZone411 on that. I'm trying to think of another way. That's probably pretty much it. I don't know. I don't know of any other ways. I'll look that up and find out. But anyhow, thanks y'all for coming out and everything like that and contributing to chat. But yeah, that's pretty awesome. I got a lot of good notes on there and everything. But maybe what we'll do before we start tomorrow, I'll just put like a poll and maybe list like 3 or 4 videos to watch, and then y'all can vote on it. And then we can figure out what we're going to do. But I definitely got 3 or 4 that I know I want to watch, but I'm going to let y'all pick because, I don't want anybody to be bored or anything like that. So, yeah, Braven, I'm definitely still doing the weather. I'm watching the weather right up there on the big screen. I always keep an eye on it, but there's really nothing much going on in the weather right now, bud. The only thing that we have right now is some precipitation over central and eastern Nebraska, blowing into, looks like Iowa, and up into just southwest of Minneapolis. And then we also got precipitation down in Southern California and Northern California into Nevada. So, yeah, I'm always keeping an eye on the weather there, Brave, and that's always going to be my thing. But there's just really not much going on with it right now. But anywho, I hope everybody has yeah, all the weather guys are going to come in here and say, "Hey, what the hell are you doing talking about computer stuff?" But I want to get all my weather guys to switch over. Most of them are on Linux. Like the guys who like really do the weather hardcore, they're using Linux, a lot of them. But a lot of my viewers to the channel, they're not. And what I'd like to be able to do one day is maybe make a video or a stream about, why I started using Linux, because it's super easy to install on an older computer. You don't have to go out and buy a fancy, expensive computer. You can just download the free ISO file for whatever distribution you think you might like. And I'm living proof. I got that old, I don't even know what kind of computer it is. I think it's an old HP desktop computer. It's like an all-in-one deal. And literally, I just put, I downloaded the ISO, put it on a memory stick, stuck it in the back, booted into BIOS, and it loaded up like a charm. And it was I was literally going to throw that computer away because when they stopped supporting, it used to have Windows 10 on it. And I didn't want to run Windows 10 anymore because they stopped support, like doing the security patches for it. So I was basically just going to trash it because it was running a little slow anyway. And it was really hard to even bring up a browser window. So I asked all my friends, if they wanted it, and nobody wanted it. So that's when I downloaded, I think I downloaded Ubuntu that night, and I didn't have any faith that it would actually install. on there, but I put it in, and it was like a brand new computer. Um, it was like a brand new computer. I mean, it ran smooth. I could get on the internet with it. I could watch YouTube videos on it, and of course, I could do the other stuff like text files, all that stuff with no problem whatsoever. So Linux, I mean, so far has been nothing but positive for me. It is a little bit of a learning curve, but now with some of these distros making it look like, you know, any other operating system you've used in the past, there's really no reason not to use it. And again, for me, it saved me money just by downloading it because, like I said, it saved me from having to buy. I wouldn't have gone out and bought an expensive computer anyway to replace that one. I would just would have bought something from Walmart, like a cheap laptop or something. But that saved me from having to go out and purchase another laptop, you know, because my son uses that computer for school. So just by downloading the Linux saved me money. Oh, Siri says that there's weather commands, terminal weather commands. Oh, you sparked my interest. I want to know what the weather command. I did actually. I did find some kind of weather thing, but it wasn't really that good. So, anyhow, if you guys, I'll probably be streaming this about the same time tomorrow. I usually start streaming when I get off work, which is usually about between 7 and 8 o'clock at night. Sometimes I do it earlier, if it's like one of my days off. But Siri, if you're going to be back tomorrow, definitely teach me those weather things because this is generally a weather channel. But I want to incorporate, you know, more of the technology and science stuff into it. Because again, weather, you know, is hit and miss, literally. You know, you never know what's going to happen with the weather. So half the year, you know, I don't really have a whole lot to talk about on this channel because there's really nothing going on during the weather. Prime times for the weather is usually starting in March and going through to September, going through tornado season and then getting into hurricane season. But for the next 4 months or so, it's going to be kind of slow for the weather stuff. But let's see. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So anyhow, thanks a bunch for coming out and doing this with me. It's a lot better than having to doing it alone because you guys you're always pumping out, you know, tips and tricks and telling me or explaining things to me. So that's pretty awesome. So anyhow, I hope everybody has a great evening, and I'm gonna go grab something to eat. I haven't had anything to eat since I got home from work, so I'm gonna go grab something to eat, and then probably come back to the computer in a little while and watch some more videos and try to find some good ones for tomorrow. So thanks again for coming out. I guess I'm supposed to say the whole YouTube thing. Make sure you subscribe, like, do all this. Honestly, I don't care. If you want to subscribe, subscribe. If you want to like it, like it. It doesn't matter to me. But I just hope everybody had fun. I had fun. I know that. So anyhow, thank you very much for joining and participating. And I will catch you guys later. Have a good night.